Hi, my name is Mark Belage. I'm president of TorontoJobs.ca. In this video, I share with you some tips on best practices in checking references. And now this is specifically for employers as a webinar. So are you sure you're getting the most from your reference checks when you're doing them? When you're checking for employees? Are you making sure you're doing them properly? Here are some tips and suggestions on how you can improve your process. First of all, take the process seriously. Don't rush through it as if it's just something to be done. Conduct at least 2 verbal reference checks. Recently, people rely on emails and getting information via just documented responses via email. This isn't as good as speaking with somebody directly verbally on a reference check, as that way you can inquire a little bit more on certain holes or gaps that might be able to be filled in by the referee. Standardize questions as much as possible. Use the same questions for each reference so that way you get consistent responses. Plan your questions carefully. Write them down, have them documented, and take detailed notes as to what somebody says. Also, be aware of fake references. This came up a few years ago where there was a company that was set up just to give purely fake references for candidates, and it was paid for by the candidate. Now, I think that was shut down fairly quickly, but be aware of fake references, that they're not legitimate. Match up the resume of the employee with somebody's LinkedIn profile and what that reference says in terms of what dates they were there, the actual titles that the employee had, and make sure that everything is consistent. Everything should match up. If the LinkedIn profile has something different from what the reference says and from what their resume says, you should be investigating that. Don't just brush it off. Also, don't rely just on references that the candidate has provided to you. Try to do more cross-checking to make sure that you're getting what you're expecting. Some companies are finding that they're not doing reference checks as they don't think it will give enough benefit and not enough vital information, which I don't believe is correct. I think you should be doing references on everybody that you hire. It gives you more information about the person, and it can give you an idea of the person's strengths and weaknesses to be used to develop that employee and to train that employee. And if there's a bad reference, it doesn't mean that the person's necessarily a bad candidate. It may be that they just didn't fit within that culture or that environment of that person's company, last employer. And also it could be that there was a personality dispute, a disagreement of some kind, which may mean that the reference is not overly kind about a candidate. It may not just be performance related. So keep that in mind. When you're doing your references and asking your questions, don't put words into the mouth of the reference that you're doing. For example, don't say, "Oh, so you're saying that John is a great accountant." Don't use leading questions. Use open-ended questions such as, "Tell me about John's strengths. Tell me about John's weaknesses." So make it more open rather than leading questions where it's a yes or no type answer. You'll get more information that way. I tend to be also more cautious when the reference showers the candidate with too much praise, like it's set up. Also, you should think about who the reference is. Are they a senior person within the company? Are they a friend? So always ask what the relationship is with that candidate. So were they reporting to them directly? Were they reporting to them indirectly? Were they a peer? Were they a friend? So make sure to ask that question so you understand what the relationship is. Also think about doing credit and criminal checks, which has become more and more standard over the years. You can find opportunities to do that. There's organizations that provide credit and criminal checks for not that much, usually less than $100. It's worth the money to spend for $100 to find out any credit or criminal issues that may be relevant to the job that you're hiring for. Also, do the references early in the process, not as a final check when you've already made an offer. Try to get them started as soon as possible, especially if you like a candidate. So in conclusion, there's lots to know with reference checks. Don't ignore them, as it is part of the hiring process, and you should be aware that there might be some good information that might come up that will help you develop your potential new employee. So again, my name is Mark Belache. I'm president of TorontoJobs.ca. I'd like to thank you for watching. Feel free to connect with me on LinkedIn. And if there's anything I can help you out with, by all means, don't hesitate to ask. I've written a book called Tales from the Recruiter. You can check it out at talesfromtherecruiter.ca. You can order a copy online, or you can visit Kobo or Amazon to get your copy ordered as well. And connect with us at torontojobs.ca on Facebook, LinkedIn, Twitter, and Instagram. And stay connected with us. Thanks for watching. Stay safe, be well, and have a great day.